had thought we should start standing, mostly because I thought we'd want to get moving right away. Although it's not too bad out here, so. We are headed into a fair amount of Malasana squats today. And I think that a lot of you, I'm not actually positive about you, Chris, so I'll keep my eye on you, have practiced with me enough to know that there's a lot of ways to take yourself to Malasana squat from down dog, whether you are walking it forward and end there, or you are stepping forward, or you are playing around with jumping forward. All options to play around with. One of the things I would like for you guys to think about, no matter what direction you're coming forward, is how high can your hips be? When you're jumping forward, you will land much more softly if those hips are nice and high. I mean, in theory you will, right? Hips do have to come back down, but you'll land a little more softly. If you're walking forward as well, I just like to think about how high could I keep my hips up that really engages in the core and in the legs as you come forward, you know, versus sort of like, oh, here's my easy path, right? I mean, it's relative. It's not actually easy to walk to the top. And then certainly the same thing with stepping forward. Like, I mean, you could just really exaggerate that to make yourself sort of work that transition, right? Always those types of ideas are optional. I'm really a big fan of yoga doesn't have to be the hardest work you put into it. Those are just ideas if you're making that a little bit harder for yourself. As you can see, I'm already out of breath. So obviously that's plenty hard. But let's start at the top of our mats, hands at heart center. Kind of find the Tadasana feet of your choice, and maybe think about spreading your toes really wide so that if you look down, you could see some space between your toes. And then pull into your quads so that your kneecaps are traveling up your thighs a bit. Engage in the bum so it's not completely clenched, you know, like crazy, but just finding a little engagement there. And then at the same time in the belly, so you're getting those two forces to keep you nice and straight and stable. Maybe press your thumbs into your chest. And take a couple of deep breaths right here with everything activated. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. On your exhale, hands to heart center, send the hips back into a chair pose, hands at heart center, belly in. Inhale, sweep up, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, sit down, hands to heart center for your chair. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center, chair, and then sweep those hands behind you like airplane arms. Inhale as you come up, arms come up as well. Same arms through hand center, reaching back. Inhale up, squat it down. You can keep those same arms or keep them overhead as you squat down. And then when you inhale, I'll sweep my arms up and around because that just feels good. Exhales will squat, inhales to rise. See, I already changed the language because it doesn't just feel like chair, does it? We are headed into some squats, getting that heart rate up, warming up our bodies this morning. Two more, any arms that you're choosing. And after you reach to the sky one more time, fold forward as you exhale. Let those knees bend as much as you might like, and maybe even walk them back and forth, bending one and then the other. Maybe let your head hang heavy. On an inhale, let's come halfway up. And then palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up, Puff that space out between the shoulder blades. Really ground into all of your fingertips. Pull the belly up and in. On an exhale, either the toes or the knees, let's lower all the way down to the ground for 3 cobras. Inhaling to open the chest. Exhaling to release. Inhaling to open. Exhale, lower. One more time. It might be your largest or maybe not. Lowering all the way back down. Let's push back up into the top of our push-up. Maybe that's through our knees or no knees. To downward facing dog, and taking a moment in down dog to pedal it out as well. Finding some movement and stretch that you need. On your next inhale, look to the top of the mat. Let's travel feet between hands and then come halfway up. Exhale and fold. Drop those hips, come into your chair pose, holding for 8. Arms of your choice. 7, hollow out that belly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way straight. Look up at those palms coming together, and then on an exhale, fold forward all the way. Inhale, half lift. Palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up. Lower all the way or part way to chaturanga. If you are ready, inhaling into up dog or cobra. Let's hold this for 3 breaths. And then make your way to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up, 3-legged dog, bend and stack, open up to the side. On an exhale, knee to nose, hug it in. Let's find that core. Inhale, lengthen it back out, step to the top of the mat. Back heel down, warrior 1 as you rise, reach those arms up overhead, pull the belly in, ground through the outside edge of that back foot. Warrior 2. Think about stacking that left shoulder over the left hip. Straighten the front leg, turn the foot so the outside edges are parallel, hands to the hips, and then fold forward. Wide leg fold, place those hands on the ground. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Our first wide leg fold, so if you need a little bit of wiggling around, our gentleness into your fold, take it. On an inhale, come part way up. As you exhale, walk your hands to the inside of your front foot. Drop that back knee, lizard lunge. I'm gonna stay upright on my palms for this first one. You might keep the sole of your right foot down or open to the outside edge if you need to do that. Reach your chest through your shoulders. Shift your hips back, side plank on the left. I'll stay on my knee as I reach that right leg out. Energy through that raised leg, that raised arm. Beautiful variations. And we'll take a vinyasa to down dog. So end up in your plank, the vinyasa of your choice. Linking your breath and your movement until we're all in down dog. Inhale the left leg up. On your exhale, bend and stack. Find your side body stretch to the side. On an exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen it back out. Step to the top of the mat. Warrior 1 as you rise. Squaring your shoulders right away, your ribs, belly in, grounding into the outside edge of your back foot. Open up, Warrior 2. Think again about stacking that right shoulder now over the right hip, belly pulled in. Wide leg fold, straighten the front leg, turn the foot, maybe hands to the hips once more as you pull the shoulder blades together, and then fold forward, hands to the ground. Let's come up halfway, and then fold forward, hand placement of your choice, but I want you to think about grounding into the outside edges of both feet without hyperextending the knees. And like you're gonna tear your mat apart. So your legs are reaching. reaching out. Don't let them slide, but they might think about that's the direction, like they're going to slide wider apart. Inhale, come part way up, walk those hands to the top of the mat, inside the left foot, ground the back knee, lizard lunge. Belly in, chest forward. When we come out, side plank on the right, on the knee, or on the edge of your foot. Leg raised or not, but energy, energy, energy reaching up through your top ribs. Vinyasa to downward facing dog. And from your down dog, Malasana to the top of the mat. So any of those ways that you might want to work on coming into your Malasana, and maybe it'll be different each time, because each way you work that might bring you something a little different. So if you're having a hard time getting your heels down, you can consider taking your feet out wider than your mat. That might help, might not help. You just have to play around with that. From Malasana, we're taking our first arm balance, which is into crow. So let's place the hands down, walk the feet towards each other as you might like, and then play around with coming in to your crow balance. Or your crow prep, right? Really pulling the belly up and in regardless of what you're doing. As you're ready, you'll step back to make your way through a vinyasa to downward facing dog. Yeah, I like those step backs. From your down dog, inhale the right leg up, three-legged. Exhale, bend and stack open to the side. On your next exhale, knee to same arm. Inhale, lengthen it back up, step to the top of the mat for warrior one. Inhale up, really ground into the outside of that back foot. On your exhale, open up warrior two. Triangle, so straighten the front leg, reach out over that front leg, finding your hand placement, opening your top ribs to the sky. Top hand comes down to the ground. Both hands come down to the ground inside your front foot. That's the right foot. Drop the back knee into lizard, staying on your hands or coming down onto your forearms. Think about dropping your right knee out to the side so you're coming onto the outside edge of your foot. That might be a little bit or a lot or not much at all. Stay for a couple breaths. And then bring it back up to ground that if that's available to you. Side plank on the left, maybe you're going to stay on your forearm and your knee, or maybe you'll come up onto your palm and your foot. That's entirely up to you. After your side plank, vinyasa to downward facing dog. Other side, inhale the left leg up, exhale, bend and stack. Another exhale, knee to same arm. Lengthen it back out, three-legged, step to the top of the mat. Warrior one as you inhale up, find it. Warrior two on an exhale. Straighten the front leg, coming into your triangle on this side. The shoulder blades towards each other, pull your belly in. On an exhale, top hand comes down, both hands end up on the inside of your left foot. Drop the back knee into your lizard lunge, maybe to the forearms. We'll all play around with dropping our knee out to the side, coming onto the outside edge of our foot. And then back to being grounded. side plank on the right. Again, you can choose if you're staying on your forearm or not. Through your vinyasa to downward facing dog. Come forward to Malasana squat, play around with whatever manner you're coming into it. Yep. Maybe it's all the talking, but it really didn't take me long to overheat. Another chance for your crow practice here. And then we'll have a seat after that. So whether you're coming into crow practice or not, you'll stay as long as you might like, and then have a seat on the ground when you're finished. Legs out straight as you are ready. I'm gonna angle myself so I can see everybody better. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen the spine. On your exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine, stay right there. Reach your chest closer to your toes, ribs towards your thighs. Take 2 breaths. As you come upright, bring your right leg with you, hug your knee in towards your chest. Let's play around with bringing that leg behind our arm. So I'm going to hold on to with my both feet and bring my arm onto the front of my shin, right? You can also work here if you're not coming to the front of the shin, and maybe eventually sort of taking it here. Oh yeah, Already some of us are wiggling that around because we're like, well, let's see what that's going to feel like, right? Well, Jen's going to put hers behind her head, but I'm not going to do that.
Maybe.
Release that leg. Take an inhale, lengthen. Exhale and fold over. Find whatever bind you're taking. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Stay there with that really long spine. Find your breath, don't hold it. When you come upright, bring the left leg with you. Give it a nice hug. And then maybe you bring that arm in front, right? You can just kind of decide where you stay with this. We'll be playing around with bringing that leg onto the back of the arm. Release, cross the legs, come over the feet, take a vinyasa to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up. On your exhale, bend and stack. Flip dog or wild thing if you'd like to put that into your practice today. As you come out, we'll take the knee to the opposite arm when you are ready. And then lengthen back out to 3-legged, step to the top of the mat. Inhale, warrior 1. Your very next exhale, warrior 2. Peaceful warrior this time. Extended side angle. Really thinking about that front knee. How can you open up that hip? So really track that front knee toward the pinky toe side. Pull the belly in at the same time. We'll sweep that top hand past our leg into wide leg forward. Fold this round, turning your feet mindfully and folding forward. So still find that engagement into the outside edges of your feet. Still find that tearing apart without hyperextending. And then fold yourself in from there. Any hand placement you might like. Inhale, come halfway up, ground the hands, walk them to the top of the mat. Inside, the right foot, drop the back knee, headed into your lizard. Playing around with bringing the right arm underneath. the right leg. So I bring my hips up and then play around with how far I can reach that right arm underneath here, like I'm gonna place my leg on the back of my shoulder like a backpack. When I unwind, I'm headed into my side plank on the left. Through your vinyasa to down dog. That was beautiful, Vanessa. I'm glad I saw that. Inhale the left leg up, exhale, bend and stack. Stay there, flip dog or wild thing on this side. Coming out in your own time, eventually bringing the knee to the opposite shoulder, and then back to three-legged. We'll step to the top of the mat for warrior one. Inhale up. Right away on your exhale, open up warrior two. Peaceful warrior. Extended side angle. Again, I really want you to focus on that front leg, opening up your hip, knee tracking toward that pinky toe side. Top hand sweeps down, feet turn, wide leg fold. Any hand placement you might like. Two more breaths. It's so quiet here without all this election traffic. Inhale halfway, walk to the top of the mat, drop down into your lizard. Possibly playing around with placing that left arm underneath your right leg. Right, so sometimes it feels like we can get under there fairly well, sometimes barely at all. I always have to ask myself, well, what did my belly start to do? Did it just relax and hang out? Pull it back in. Eventually, side plank on the right after you unwind yourself. Through your vinyasa as you're ready to downward facing dog. From this down dog, we come forward into Malasana. Let's reach our fingertips forward so we're really rounding the spine in this Malasana. Maybe they come to the ground. Maybe you can tip your chin down towards your chest. It probably changes your balance. Find your breath here. And then we're going to play around with the opposite as well. Hitting a really upright spine also changes my balance a lot. Maybe reaching the arms like cactus arms or overhead. Before we have a seat on the ground, use those hands to soften that transition. You all right, Melissa? Yeah. I'm getting your hip, aren't I? All right. Inhale, length. Exhale, fold forward. Keep that nice long spine. As you come upright, bring the right leg with you. We'll work towards tucking it underneath the arm. Or we might be right here, right here, anywhere where we're opening up the hip. If you've got that tucked underneath your arm, you can think about placing your hands down on the ground, squeezing that arm for elephant trunk balance. Both hands come to the ground. Pull the belly in, or squeeze that hand, and maybe rig the hips up, and maybe the other leg, right? It's all a bunch of maybes. Or maybe we're right here opening the hip. Yes. Yes. Well, good thing we have two sides because we get to try it again. Release, wiggle it out, one forward fold. Bring the left leg up with you. Perhaps placing it behind you. Squeeze the arm, hands to the ground, hips up, right? Maybe the other leg. I actually find it more difficult to lift the other leg separately than if I just go whoosh and bring it all at the same time. That doesn't mean I find it easy. I just find it a little more difficult to do 2 at a time. And then you'll unwind, and let's kind of work that out by bringing our hands behind us and bending the knees, finding that little opening and rocking. Come over and through the vinyasa of your choice to down dog. I'm going to give you another chance to do that, right? Because the first time is like, what in the world did we just do? Inhale as you bring the right leg up. Exhale, bend and stack, flip dog or wild thing if you would like. Sometimes I like to take a halfway in between because I get a huge side stretch. Come back up to your 3-legged down dog. As you're ready, knee to nose, we're going to hold it for 3, 2, 1. Lengthen it back out, step to the top of the mat. Back heel down, warrior 1 as you rise. Warrior 2. Peaceful warrior. Straighten the front leg, adding triangle back in. Reach out over that straightened front leg into your triangle posture. Top hand down, wide leg fold, arms of your choice. Maybe you'd like to take an inversion here, maybe not. We're already in an inversion actually, so already. We got some headstanders. Let's give them another couple of breaths. And you guys come down as you're ready. We'll all come halfway up. Stay there. Hands to the hips, come all the way back up. Turn that right foot, bend the knee. We're headed into side angle. Drop that top hand down, coming into your lizard lunge. So maybe you're going to choose to keep the back knee off the ground, keep it on the ground. You can decide how low you go, and if you want to play around with bringing your right arm underneath that lizard front leg. We got to unwind into our side plank on the left. Remember, that can be on our knee. We're already working hard. We don't have to make everything extra hard. Through your vinyasa to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Bend and stack, flip dog or wild thing, or like me, I'm doing a halfway in between. Finding that big stretch I like. Back to 3-legged when you're ready, and then knee to nose. We're hugging it in for 3, 2, 1. Lengthen back out. Step to the top of the mat, warrior 1. Warrior 2. Peaceful. First triangle, so straighten the front leg, reach out, find your triangle posture. Pull the belly in. Don't hyperextend that left knee. Inhale as you come up. Exalted warrior. And then bend that front knee as you come into your side angle. I think I missed something in there, but don't worry, I'm going to come back and find it.
Just the wide leg hold it.
You're going to get it again. That top hand comes down, walk it past the front leg so we don't skip out on that wide leg fold. Coming forward, finding that big deep stretch. If you've been hanging out on your heels or you find yourself doing that now, shift some weight into your toes. Pull the belly in. And then come halfway up, we'll walk ourselves into our lizard posture, whether you're coming down onto the knee or keeping the knee off the ground, whether you're playing around with walking the left hand underneath the left leg or not. Nice options, everybody, nice options. Side plank on the right, any variation you choose. Vinyasa to down dog. your choice how you get there. You can stay deep into your Malasana stretch or work on finding some rotation. Opening up to one side, taking a breath or two, and then opening up to the other side. We'll have a seat from there, coming into your Navasana boat pose. Let's keep that boat nice and tucked in. Knees towards the chest, knees towards the chest, knees towards the chest, right? Toes can be down and knees are still towards the chest. Release the legs long. Take a nice inhale up and exhale, fold forward. Yes, everybody loves this forward fold today, right? Maybe. Inhale as you come up, right leg will come with you. So you can play around with that same elephant balance pose if you know where you're headed. You can also play around with binding with the front toe and sort of pulling that back behind you, just another variation to play with, or the edge of your foot, one hand or both hands, right? You can play around with cradling your leg in some manner so you're getting a big deep hip stretch. Or you can play around with that balance again. Jen's gonna put her leg behind her head. Sometimes I'll even start that elephant with the leg up in the air, because gravity's gonna take it back down for me. Just something. Yeah, Melissa, looks good. All right. Wiggle that out. Give yourself another forward fold. And then we'll come upright with the left leg. So there's lots of options, lots of things you could kind of play around with here, lots of different stretches or balances that you could work on. Breathe, Jen, breathe. I have a feeling you're not breathing there. Yeah, there you go, Melissa. Release the leg long when you're finished and fold forward one more time. Let's round it down, kind of nice and slow. We are on some hard surface, but we'll make that nice and slow. And then take a long body stretch once you get there. Place both feet on the ground for bridge pose. So we're going to play around with bridge pose and raising a foot off the ground. We'll come into 3 bridges first. So we kind of got to get ourselves ready. So palms down, maybe you can graze your heels, and then on an inhale, bring the hips up off the ground. Chin a little bit away from the chest. So see if you can tuck it, like lift it away from your chest as you bring your ribs and your pelvis nice and high. We're here for another 3, 2, and 1. Release back down. Take one inhale, one exhale. Inhale to bring those hips back up for 5. And release back down. 1 inhale and exhale. Your next inhale brings those hips up again. Static hold. Find your breath. Find your belly engagement even though you're in this back bend. And release those hips to come down. Take an inhale and an exhale. Maybe place your left foot a little bit closer towards midline. Inhale as you come up and really ground into that foot. Come up onto your right toes. Maybe you stay there, or maybe you lift that right leg up into the sky. Oh, I love everything about this. Place that foot back down on the ground. Bring the hips all the way down to the ground. Take your breath. And then perhaps the right foot a little bit towards midline on an inhale.
hips high, left toes on the ground or left heel up, and then maybe raising the left leg up into the air. And releasing back down. Let's come into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees wide, for 3 nice deep breaths. Bring the knees back together, hug them in towards your chest, maybe rock side to side. And when you're ready, forward and back so you can come over your legs and through a vinyasa to down dog. From your down dog, inhale the right leg up. Exhale, bend and stack. Sweep that right knee around to the right arm. And then sweep it back up three-legged. Take it to the opposite arm. Sweep it back up three-legged. Step to the top of the mat. High lunge. Keep that heel off the ground. Reach the arms up overhead, opening that back hip. Sinking into the front knee. Pull the belly in. Come to standing at the top of the mat. Hug the left knee in. So you can play around here with maybe holding on to the left foot or how much you hug that knee in, right? Maybe somebody's going to be able to bring that hand or that knee behind their back. I'm only about right here, right? But we're all going to be somewhere, whether it's hugging in or finding some kind of balance while we're opening the hip. We'll unwind out of this carefully, maybe even pausing to put a toe on the ground, into Warrior 3. Hold the belly in, keep the little up dog in the chest, drop that left hip, and land in your high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. Skandasana to the back of the mat. So we've got through quite a few Malasana squats, either sumo or all the way down into your Skandasana. You can decide if you're going to ground your hands, stay upright, find your breath. Taking our Skandasana to the top of the mat, hands or no hands, that's your option. It's that half squat, yeah. Turn to find your lizard top of the mat. So your hands will be inside your right foot, finding your lizard, maybe bringing the arm underneath. Y'all know there's a balance here, right? An arm balance. If that arm is underneath there and you can feel your knee or your calf on your shoulder, you can kind of pull that foot in and lean forward to find a lizard balance, possibly, right? It's just something to play with or not play with as we sink into a lizard hold. Unwind from that, wherever you're at, into your side plank on the left. Vinyasa to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, bend and stack. Sweep it around to the right or left arm. Inhale, lengthen it back up. Sweep it across the body to the right arm. Lengthen it back up. Step to the top of the mat for that high lunge. We'll stay here in this first one for just a moment. Opening up, finding engagement. And then step forward, hugging the right knee in. We might stay here or begin to find ourselves taking that knee behind our back in some manner. Opening and balancing. Unwind. Whoa, look at
Wait, first everybody look at Elizabeth. And then you'll unwind to Warrior 3. That's right, Elizabeth, you were the star of the show. You're welcome. Find that little bit of up dog, drop the right hip, reach through that back leg, and then land that high lunge, reach the arms up overhead. Skandasana to the back of the mat. Skandasana to the top of the mat. Lizard lunge and play, top of the mat. So that's the inside of the left foot. Right. Static hold, playing around with reaches, maybe flying your lizard. Just like, yeah, there you go. You're coming into the splits a bit. Very nice balances. Unwinding whatever we've done to side plank on the right. And then through your vinyasa to down dog. Down dog to Malasana squat. Everybody take your time. We know where we're going to meet up. Have a seat. Reach the legs out. Find that forward fold. First lengthen the spine and then fold forward. As you come upright, bring the right leg with you. You can play around with any of the things we've done so far, or any hip opening, or perhaps come into that compass pose that Elizabeth's been doing, where you place that leg behind your arm, the right hand comes out. I've still got a hold of my right foot, and then I'm working towards straight. Now I typically like to gaze away from my foot. I think you could do either. Or maybe you're balancing in some way, and then come out and release that, yeah? With a forward fold. Play on the other side, bring the left leg with you, opening the hip. This is about hip opening, hamstring opening. So wherever you need to be today, maybe playing around with the same pose, maybe both sides are not equal. Come out as we're ready and release into our forward fold. Come upright, cross the legs. Let's come over so that we can lie down on our bellies and take an opposite movement into Sphinx pose. So we've done quite a bit of folding there and hamstringing and kind of taking our hips, well, it seemed like a hamstring tie-up.
No, it's like hamstringy.
And so let's see if we can settle our hip bones down toward the ground, but our chest upright a bit. I like to see if I can relax my hip bum muscles. Still okay to have some of that engagement in your belly though to support your spine. If this is enough for you, stay right here. If you need to press up further, you can press up into seal with your hands out to the side, or even into your full cobra. Releasing back down as you are ready. Let's come all the way down to the ground. Stack your forearms so you can rest your forehead. Bend your knees so you can windshield wiper your legs. and when you're ready, push back into your child's pose. Finally, something good, right? You can make that active, you can make it restful, you can bring your arms behind you. Just kind of take this child's pose into what you need for your practice. From your child's pose, make your way to downward facing dog. Option, of course, to take a vinyasa or to have no vinyasa and just bring those hips high and into your down dog. We've got time to flow through one more time, so we're going to do that. On an inhale, right leg comes up. Exhale, bend and stack. Sweep this knee all the way around to the opposite arm. Take it across your body, pulling it in as tight as you can, and then sweep it back up three-legged. Step to the top of the mat, high lunge. Come forward, hug the knee. Listen up, step it back into your high lunge. Ooh, that didn't land very softly. Come forward, hug that knee. Step it back, high lunge. One more time. Come forward, hug that knee, and keep it here. Find that super tall upright spine. Maybe drop the right hand to the hip and take your leg out to the side. We got that knee higher than normal, maybe. We'll unwind to warrior three. Pause there, take a breath. Step it back to your high lunge. Drop that back heel, warrior one. Adjust your hips, adjust your shoulders. Open up your warrior two. Peaceful warrior. Straighten the front leg, our last triangle on this side. Make it whatever you like, whether that's your deepest, your most engaged, or your easiest. Drop the right hand, find your wide leg fold. We'll only have one more of these. Inhale as you come part way up, hands to the hips, come all the way up, turn the right foot, bend the knee, side angle. Again, deepest, most engaged, easiest, like you decide, right? This is your practice. Drop into your lizard lunge, back knee up or back knee down, palms to the ground, forearms to the ground. You get to decide. Step that back leg forward into your Malasana squat. It's kind of a hard transition sometimes. I'm not even on the mat like I normally am. That's okay. I'm gonna move my feet to find what I need. Release the hands to the ground, step back to your down dog or back to take a vinyasa and then downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up, exhale, bend and stack. Sweep it out to the side, all the way around to the right arm. Lengthen it back out three-legged, step to the top of the mat, high lunge. Step forward, hug the right knee. Step back to your high lunge. Oh, this must be my good side. I can actually balance this. Step forward and find it. Back to high lunge. Step forward, find it, hold it. Maybe drop the left hand to the left hip and take that leg out to the side. Pull your belly in. Sweep it through to your warrior three. Take a breath there. And then land your high lunge. Drop the back heel, warrior one. Adjustments as needed. Open up warrior two. Peaceful warrior. straighten the front leg, triangle posture, last triangle. Top hand down, turn the feet, wide leg fold. Inhale, halfway up, hands to the hips. As you're ready, come all the way up. Turn the left foot forward, bend the knee, extended side angle. Drop that hand down as you come into your lizard lunge. We're pausing there for a moment before we step forward so you can take that as deep as you might like. And then when you're ready, come out of it as you step forward into your Malasana. It's a big step, right? Yeah. All done with Malasanas? We're done with Malasanas, yeah. Have a seat down on the ground. Hug those knees in. Give yourself a nice hug. We've done a lot of hip opening, right? Let's play around with finding our balance in a wide leg seat. So you might hold on to the outside edges of your peace fingers and big toes, outside edges. Elizabeth knows where we're headed, outside edges of the feet. You could also hold on to your thighs and bring your ribs closer in. Yes, finding that balance, pulling the belly in, and then working on straightening the legs-ish, right? Because it'll want to straighten you out, so you just hold it there as you can. Woo is right. Let's come out of that into Baddha Konasana. I just like that transition out because it's nice and slow. Oh, lengthen through the spine and then fold over your butterfly legs. This is our last hip opening. Well, I shouldn't have said that. I really shouldn't. Why do I say these things? Why do I even say last? But I'm not going to take us this direction again, but I don't know why I say last. All right, begin to come upright. So we've been taking external rotation, and now we're going to give our hips a chance to go the other direction. That might simply mean that you're here, or you could take a half heroes and bring your leg behind you and have a seat. So you can see now we're rotating that hip bone the other direction. You can stay upright here or fold into it a little bit, or you could take both legs into that at the same time. But yeah, this will also do the trick because you can kind of play around with how wide you bring those feet so that you're rotating in. See, Jen loves this half heroes. I can see because she went for the full hero. She is a hero.
Aww.
Right, we're gonna be there. We're gonna take our time to do this long enough that you can play around with doing more than one. And for sure you need to do both sides. And while I never say that this really feels good to me, it's sort of good-ish after I've done a lot of hip opening the other way. Melissa's laying down and Jen's laying down like this is their most restful moment at the beach. When we're all finished, let's meet on our backs when we're ready. You can either take a long body stretch or hug the knees into the chest, or you'll have time to do both before we come into our final rotations before Shavasana. So I don't know which one feels best to you. Do whichever one feels best, whether that's a long body stretch or a knees hugging in, or maybe both. And then we'll come into a rotation. We'll all drop our knees over to the right just so we're going the same direction, but you get to decide what that rotation looks like. How far do the knees come in towards the chest? How much do you open the arms? I would encourage you though to allow your legs to be on the ground somewhere, whether it's the knees or the toes or the thighs. And then continue to think of this as part of your practice so that you're still taking some nice deep breaths. Slowly, slowly making all the adjustments you might need. Take that rotational stretch to the other side. As you're ready, come out to make your way to Shavasana. Please feel free to use any props, any extra bits of clothing. Pad yourself however you might like so that you're as comfortable as you can be. Even though I'm going to call us out of Shavasana together, feel free to remain lying down as we take our last few breaths together, or come to seated, whichever one you feel most comfortable with. We'll wait a little few seconds here to let everyone come into that however they would like. Let's take a deep, full inhale together. And exhale, sigh it out. Again, a deep, full inhale. Pause at the top. Take in a little more air, sip it in, and exhale it out. Really force out all that air. As Tina says, the stale air. Get that, really make it all come out. Take a nice deep inhale. And sigh it out. Two more. Deep, full inhale. At the top of this one, pause. Sip in a little more air. And exhale, really completely expel all of the air. Force all of that out again. One more last deep inhale, no forcefully taking it in. And then a sighing out as you exhale. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful sunny day. Namaste.